Hello, welcome back to On Air with Dr. Pete. I'm your host, Dr. Pete Economo, and well, we've got another fun episode. This one is all the way from the French Polynesia via boat. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that. And after raising a family and spending years building their careers, Alison Gieschen and her husband Dan made a bold midlife decision. They sold nearly everything that they owned just to follow their dream and share decades to sail around the world. So it began as a conversation and then eventually became a life-changing adventure, creating familiar home routines for open water, new cultures, and freedom of life at sea. This both makes me so anxious and really, really admirable for you. So, wow, thanks, Alison, for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to share what it's like living on 43 feet of space in the middle of the ocean.
I can't 49 countries and across 5 different continents. Yeah. Oh my God, so cool. There was a young lady who just did rowing across the Atlantic Ocean. Did you see that?
I've seen several of them and I think they're absolutely crazy. Like I can't fathom that.
No.
That's beyond my comprehension.
Same. You've got 43 feet and I heard in what you were saying that it was not easy to do.
Crossing the ocean?
Well, and just
rowing?
43 crossing like 43 feet, like in the middle of the ocean with your husband. Like, I'm sure it's not all perfect.
No.
All right. So tell us about today. Like, where are you even today? And give us.
Okay. So today we are in the French Polynesian Islands, which was when my husband, when we started planning and laying this out, and he showed me our route. He goes, "Where's the number one place you want to be?" Or that you're looking forward to being. And I said, "The French Polynesians. I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer, right?" And so we've been stuck here 5 months because an engine part broke, and our engine was built in the 80s, and they don't make that part anymore. So it's been a Herculean feat trying to find that part, and we eventually did pull it out, and it's been shipped to Tahiti, and they have to wait for our part to be shipped to them from Myanmar. And then they're supposedly going to fix it and get it back to us. But nothing happens quickly here.
No. Wow. So 5 months. Are you docked during that, or how does that work?
No, we're out at anchor in a harbor, a very rolly harbor. So if you see me grab onto something real quickly, it's because the boat is doing this a lot. But we did go home for 2 months for November and December. We went home and spent it with our kids, which was really nice because we have 5 grandkids that miss us very much.
Where are they, all over the place, or where are they?
Yes, unfortunately, my daughter lives in California and my boys live on the East Coast. So even when we go home, we have to fly 3,000 miles to see both of them.
Yeah. So wait, how long have you been sailing for?
8 years.
And then what really was the thing that you and Dan were like, okay, let's do this?
Okay. Well, we met in a sailboat race. And my cousin brought him down to be a ringer on my mom's sailboat. And we spent an amazing weekend together. We went scuba diving, windsurfing, canoeing, just all kinds of antics and shenanigans. And I knew this guy he was it. And so we were sitting at a bar. He's getting ready to go back to Philadelphia. I was going back to Charlotte to finish Wency. And he's, we were both kind of sad because we knew we really liked each other, but we were so far apart. And he said, someday my dream is to sail around the world. I said, mine too. Let's get married. So he proposed the 4th day we were together. He flew me up 2 weekends later, and the 4th day we were together, he goes, "I'm going to ask you to marry me." And I said, yes.
How long ago was that?
We got married it'll be 40 years this June.
So cool. You've already mentioned the boys on the East Coast and your daughter in California. You announced this to the family. How did they react?
Well, it always been something our kids knew that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
When it got to a point in our lives where I had a horse farm for 25 years and an equestrian program, and I was a school teacher, and then I left my tenured teaching job to go work for a government entity.
Yeah.
$25 million horse park they were building 6 miles from my house, and I had a master's in administration and leadership, and I had all this horse experience. So they hired me, and it turned out they were the most corrupt, evil people on the planet.
Yeah.
So me and 4 other women ended up getting treated so horribly that we filed a lawsuit against them, and we won. But then I left that job, and I had nowhere to go because I couldn't get hired back into teaching because I was making too much money when I left. So nobody wanted to hire me.
Right.
So I was so depressed. And then Dan just saw me withering, and he said to one day, "It's time." I'm like, "Time for what?"
Yeah.
we're going to make a 5-year plan and we're going. So we did. We educated ourselves. We boat shopped. We took a heavy weather training passage 1,000 miles in the middle of the Atlantic and learned everything we could. And then we just did it.
That is, God, I have so many questions in my head. Lee's going to be mad at me, but
because you're not going by the questions I gave you.
She's going to be, well, because I'm thinking, here's my thought. I was going to go with my thought, if that's okay, Alison.
With that.
So many people get divorced today, and like here you guys are like, we still like each other and let's go do this thing on a boat. That's so cool. Like, kudos to you all.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really important to celebrate, because obviously, like, this is a big step, and your kids and your grandkids, and, you guys miss out on a lot too by doing this. So sacrifice.
However, Starlink has been a game changer. When we left, however many years ago, we didn't get to, talk to our kids on a regular basis, and phone calls were really expensive. And now with Starlink, I video chat. Like the other day, there were manta rays swimming by, my giant manta swimming right under our boat. And my 3-year-old grandson was on, and I'm like, oh, look, Ryder, there's these manta rays. Look, they live here. They swim under our boat. And he was so fascinated and blown away. And then afterwards, he went into his bedroom, and it's like I give each of my grandkids a chart of the world, and they put a stick pin, whatever country we're in, and I send them this accordion this accordion postcard that I can make online. So I put 8 pictures. I put facts about where we are and talk about the sea creatures and the animals and some history, and I mail it to him every month. So he walked over, and this world map, he pointed to the French Polynesia, said, this is where Boat Grandma is, and manta rays live here.
Oh my God.
At 3.
How cool is that for them? Because they'll be so worldly in this experience that you all are having.
Well, it's just wonderful to be able to share, because I taught 3rd grade, and those kids didn't even know that people lived across an ocean. They didn't know there were other countries. Yeah. And so, when my kids go into kindergarten, they're going to know geography. They're going to know about world cultures and so many things, through us.
Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Yeah, every one of my books has a teacher's manual to go with it.
Of course. We're going to get to those in a minute. But what's been the biggest challenge? What would you say the biggest challenge is?
Broken parts.
Okay, next biggest challenge. That's because that's real. But what else? Like, even mentally, because I know we're gonna talk about mental resilience. So just even validate me a little bit with how scary this must be. And
so our very first ocean crossing, we went with what's called a boat rally. And a group of people get together for a week before you make this big passage, and you have seminars, you have people inspect your boat. They make sure you have all the safety equipment. And then they have a weather router. So they tell you, okay, we're going to cross now. And they follow you and track you all the way across. And every morning you go call on the radio that gives the latest weather. So it's kind of a safety net. And I wanted to do this because that was our first ocean crossing. So we started off with the rally, and we were up in New England, and we were going down the coast past North Carolina, and we heard a noise on our engine that we'd never heard before. And Dan says, oh my God, do we really want to cross an ocean knowing there might be something wrong with our engine? And I'm like, no. So we deviated off to Beaufort, and we spent 10 days there getting our boat checked out. We had a diver, and then we had a mechanic, and then we pulled the boat out of the water. 10 days later, they didn't find anything. So we're like, okay, I guess we're going to go. So one morning, the weather router said, you have 24 hours to get across the Gulf Stream because there's a storm coming, and you've got to get across. If you want to go, it's going to be another week, or you got to leave right now. So we cast off the dock lines. I was like, oh my God, we're going. We got across the Gulf Stream overnight. Next morning, before dawn, it was my shift. So I went up on deck, and as the sun is coming up over the horizon, I see this giant wave coming towards me, and I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. And the wave came, and the boat went so smoothly up and over it. And then I saw the next one come, and I'm like, these are the size waves we've been going over. I just didn't know it because it was dark. And then I got really uncomfortable, and I'm pounding on the floor, Dan, you got to come up here. You got to come up here. So he came up, and what transpired was a quick, rapid front coming through. Have you ever seen the movie The Perfect Storm?
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, that's what we were in. There was a storm coming in front of us, a storm coming behind us. It was compressing the waves, so they got bigger and bigger. The wind got stronger and stronger. Before you knew it, 20-foot waves were crashing on the bow of our deck, and our dinghy was lashed to the deck to these wooden teak rails.
Yeah.
and it ripped the dinghy and the rails right out of the deck and put the dinghy through the lifeline. So now it's threatening to demast us because it was banging against the shrouds, and Dan had to go up tethered in on these 20-foot waves and try to cut it free. And when he cut it free, and I saw how quick, I mean, literally in the blink of an eye, that boat disappeared. It just disappeared from view. And I said, well, if he goes in, I'm going to jump in with him because I am not going to be on this boat alone in this weather. I'm like, if he goes in, that's it. We're both going.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, we ended up turning around and heading back to shore. So we did 500 miles in 5 days and ended up 10 miles from where we started. But the after effect was that I had extreme PTSD. Sure. And so when we crossed again, when we finally did cross, I had huge anxiety and panic attacks. Like as soon as the weather started getting rougher than it was predicted, I'm like, oh my God, it's happening again. And Dan's like, no, you're going to be fine. So every day I thought, when I wake up, when we get there, I'm going to tell him I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's not worth the fear and the anxiety. So we pulled into St. Martin, and it was a harbor with maybe 100 boats in it. And 3 boats away was the man that we did our 1,000-mile training passage with, our mentor and the person that helped us with our entire beginning of our sailing. And he was 3 boats away. And when the earth is covered by 80% water, and you go to the island and the harbor that your mentor is in, that's a huge sign. So we called him on the radio and said, hey, John, we're here. Can we come over? And he goes, yeah, come on over for happy hour. So we go over, and he says, so Alison, how's it going? And I'm like, John, it's really bad. We got in this really bad storm and this happened. And I'm really scared now. And I don't think I can do this anymore. And he starts laughing. And I'm like, yeah, is something funny? He goes, yeah. He goes, do you know how lucky you are? I'm like, no. He said, your boat did fine. Your husband did fine. You did fine. And most importantly, you're still out here. He goes, do you know how many people would have sold the boat and given up? And the chances of that happening again are about 0. You are going to be fine. And he was the only person in the world that could have looked me in the eyes and told me that. And I believed him.
Like, so that, because I know that you say that a lot about your journey's taught you about mental health isn't just about eliminating the fears, it's developing tools to move forward despite it. So share that framework. And I'm assuming this was the framework of how that's changed for you.
Yes, because I still have fear. I mean, just on this crossing the Pacific, our biggest crossing to date, we got caught in a Chinese fishing net, and it took out our autopilot and nearly disabled our boat. And we were 680 miles from shore, and we had a choice to make. Do we abandon the boat or do we fight through this? And we fought through it. And it was terrifying, but I'm like, I've been scared before. And every time it's come out, okay, I'm going to trust my husband. I'm going to trust the journey. I'm going to trust that everything that's happened this far to keep us going is a sign that I need to be strong and I need to deal with it. And I'm okay with having my breakdowns. My husband is okay with walking me through them, and it's part of the process. And all I'm hoping is that I have fewer and fewer as we get this array of experience under our belts, and pretty soon it's gonna be like, yeah, we've done this before. This is a no-brainer. We got this. I mean, we've been sinking twice, and he saved us both times. He was dead once. I went up and he just passed out, and I thought he was dead. And I'm calling Mayday on the radio because I thought my husband was dead. But see, he was still alive. And
what happened there?
We're fine. So as long as we're I think it was fatigue. Our autopilot had kept shutting off, and he had no sleep, and he was probably dehydrated. And I've never seen him in 39 years of marriage. I've never seen him pass out, and he just keeled over. And I didn't check for breathing. I panicked. I'm like, oh my God, he's dead. He died.
That's so scary.
He wasn't.
Yeah, I know. This is really, like, now, do you feel like this is something? This is the rest of your life, or is there an end to this at some point?
Well, we started out. I gave him 10 years, but we got stuck in Ireland for 2 because of COVID. And he said that doesn't count. So we're way behind the ball game on that one. And at this point, we absolutely have 0 plans for our future. People say, what are you going to do when you're done? I'm like, we don't even know if we're going to live through it. Like, why make plans when we made a 10-year plan and we have never been in one single place that we predicted that we would be there, and sometimes not even the same country. Like, you throw schedules out the window, you throw plans out the window. So we stop making them. We go day to day, and when the wind is right, the weather is right, and the boat is working, and then we make our plans to go to our next place. But beyond that. Do
you have a favorite place that you've been?
No.
Out of these, 49 and...
Yes, we love the Azores. Have you heard of the Azores? Azores, some people call them. Okay, they're a group of islands about 800 miles off the coast of Portugal.
I did hear
and they're
of those,
absolutely magical. Was the first island that Christopher Columbus passed when he was going off to discover the Americas. And there are a group, I think there's 7 or 8 of them. I think 5 are inhabited. And it's between 60 and 70 degrees, 360 days of the year. They're volcanic islands, so the water coming through is very deep, and it attracts whales and dolphins and the most incredible sea life. The islands are all organic. They use no pesticides or have anything unnatural. They all make their own cheese, and they even make their own wines. And it's so inexpensive to go to a meal with an appetizer, starting with a bottle of wine, this amazing, 4-course meal, dessert, and then a bottle of port at the end.
Wow.
$20 a person.
Yeah. And so how long did you guys stay there?
We were there several weeks. I would have loved to spend longer, but at that time we were still kind of trying to stay on track.
Is there like a map? Is there a map or there is an agenda?
There is an agenda. We're actually doing a circumnavigation, which take us on a very well-traveled route that, 90% of the people that circumnavigate west to east take. So we see the same people over and over again at the same ports and the same harbors, because it's just, if you're going to do it, there's a good route and good places to stop. And
do you make friends with these people?
So the friends that we've made out here are stronger friendships than we've ever had on land, because you are literally and figuratively in the same boat. And it's the kind of person that it takes to do this are very resilient and strong and helpful, and just it's hard to describe, but you're very like-minded. And when you meet, you have an instant connection. And we just absolutely love spending time with them when we can.
So what kind of techniques have you learned to stay grounded? So you said like Dan really helps kind of get you through it. Obviously the fear is real. And thank you for sharing that, because I was feeling like such a little chicken. As I'm sitting here, like I don't want to leave my house. And Allison's amazing, just there with these 20-foot waves and cutting something off, and her husband's passing. I'm like, what is this? But so what have you learned that kind of helps keep you grounded?
Dan is always grounded. I don't think the man knows fear. So he was a merchant marine before he started this. He had crossed ships on oceans on ships, and literally I asked him one time, is there ever a time you felt fear? And then he goes, well, not really, but going through the Straits of Gibraltar, the waves were so big you could see the ship rippling, like the metal rippling down the aisle. So we had an epic failure in the Straits of Gibraltar, which is part of my book, so you have to read it to find that story. But my coping mechanism is I met a solo sailor, and he had been around the world 5 times by himself and circumnavigated. And here I am thinking how difficult this is and how all these things go wrong. But at least I always have Dan, and we have somebody to talk to. We have 2 hands to stop the water from coming into the boat and fix us from sinking and things like that. And I'm like, how do you do it? How do you the solitude, just being out at sea for a month at a time and having not another human being to talk to? And he goes, well, I have a hat, and I put it on my starboard winch. The winch is the thing that you put the handle in to crank the sails in and out. And we have conversations. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, you want to know why I don't talk to the port winch? I'm like, okay, why? He goes, because it doesn't talk back. I'm like, oh, okay. I understand now. Whenever I start feeling overwhelmed or anxious, I'm like, you know what? If Nicholas can sail around the world 5 times, and he told us about, some of his worst moments. I'm like, if he can do it, we've got a very, very sturdy boat. Dan is he's like the MacGyver of the ocean. He can fix anything with a paperclip. If Nicholas can do it, I got to shut up and just suck it up, and we're going to be absolutely fine. So that's my
It must be so hard for him to not fix this part of the motor from the 90s.
It is. It's killing him.
I'm imagining. So I know it's going to get fixed, because it's just life and the universe and Dan. But where to after the French Polynesia? What's next on the agenda?
So we have some more exploring here to do. We're avid scuba divers. We actually have a dive compressor on board, so we fill our scuba tanks, and we really want to go to the atolls because it's amazing clear water, and there's these little round rings in the ocean with this beautiful crystal clear water in it, and the most amazing sea life. One is known as a manta ray cleaning station, where all the mantas come in large groups, and the little fish clean them, called a cleaning station. And on Rangiroa, the dolphin pods usually are nomadic. These dolphins live there and never leave. So when you go dive with them, they'll come right up to you. Like my friend was there, and one just rolled over on his back and wanted his belly rubbed. And so there's all these amazing experiences in the atolls. And then there's some other island chains here we want to see. And then before the next hurricane season, because that drives where we are and when we're there, we need to go to
Okay.
New Zealand. From New Zealand, after the hurricane season is over, we'll go to Australia and then up to Thailand. And that's really as far as we've gotten right now, like as far as
That's really
planning.
cool. I'm imagining getting to New Zealand is like a long ocean cross. I'm American, so my geography is sorry. The teacher in you is going to cringe, but that's a long ocean cross to get to New Zealand. No.
No, actually, New Zealand's only a couple of weeks because there's
By the way,
some
okay,
islands
but a
that
couple
we
of weeks.
can.
Come on, like it's long.
No, that's no. 2 weeks
What's the
is really
longest?
short, to be honest. Well, it took us 28 days to get here. It would have taken longer, but we had to make an emergency landing in the Galapagos Islands because we had some issues. So we did stop. So it would have taken us, a month to get here had we not stopped.
All right. Well, that's really what about like any regrets about what you left behind? Love that.
Zero.
And I said like the Starlink, like that allows for you to stay connected with your family, which is I think that probably the most important thing.
Right.
And hearing how you build these connections with other people that are circumventing the world is just beautiful. I get it. That sounds like a really beautiful experience. So what other life lessons would you like, before we talk about the books in a second, but other life lessons you'd like to share? Because I feel like you have a lot of gems to teach us.
Well, I think one of the greatest things that we've learned is how living a minimalistic lifestyle really helps you appreciate this planet on a much greater level, because literally everything we own that's important will fit in one suitcase. We don't have possessions. We don't have routines. We don't have jobs. We don't have telephones ringing. We don't have, everything's on auto. Our few bills that we have, like boat insurance or I don't even know what else, Starlink, is all auto pay. Have any constraints on our time or our energy, like just seeing the world and like living in this culture here, this island. There's maybe 1,200 people on this island, and they're such beautiful and passionate and spiritual people, and we get to live among them. For 5 months I have lived in French Polynesia with these people, and I know them and I know their names, and they've invited us to ceremonies and things, and just seeing how the rest of the world lives and not having life pulling you in so many directions is just a really amazing way to live.
And I think some listeners will be like, well, that's privilege and all that, and it's like, but you guys had your career, you taught, you switched careers, and so when you make decisions for your first date, you knew you wanted to do this. So when you plan, you can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's your priorities. I mean, you can go on cruise. The money that you spend on a cruise ship for a week, you can sail around the world for a year.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean, what are your costs? I mean, we can take a walk up on this island. We can go back with coconuts, mangoes, avocados, hot peppers, papayas. Like, we can come home with a feast just taking a walk through the woods here.
Beautiful.
And it's, it's just incredible. There's so little to buy. You don't spend money on anything. So when your wind pushes you, your solar power charges your batteries. What are your expenses?
Well, you've written a few books, and so tell the listeners where they could find them, and maybe if there's anything you would share about the books, or sort of even what because there's got a lot to write about. Like what?
So I have our 2 sailing books about the first 3-4 years, and then after that, our time in the Mediterranean, and those are called Riding the Waves of Reality. One is Mediterranean Mayhem and Magic. I'm sorry, Tales of Turmoil and Triumph, and then Mediterranean Mayhem and Magic. And I'm starting my 3rd one about our next set of adventures. So those are just our memoirs, and a lot of funny stories and scary stories. And then I just published, and it won the Golden Wizard book for children. It's Sienna, and it's a mermaid book, but all of the sea life is real. So when kids read it, it's an early reader chapter book. They learn about the sea life, and in the back is a glossary with actual photos of the sea creatures and then facts about them. And I've already written Marlin, the sequel, about a boy mermaid, merperson, and it's going to be, again, educational, but still, rooted in fantasy. And I wrote The Seven, and that just got Reader's View silver medal for Christian books. And it's the father and the son narrating 7 humans picked from 7 different places in the planet, and they are deciding the fate of humanity. If humanity appreciates the gifts of the earth, humanity will be redeemed. If they don't, humanity will be wiped out to start again. Each of the people or the locations has a special place in my heart, and all of the cultures of the people and their locations are all 100% fact. So it's, again, I try to weave facts and reality into all of my books. So I have several children's books, several adult books,
Where can
fiction,
people find them?
nonfiction. And so they can either just go to Amazon and type in Alison Gieschen author, or I have an author website that has a lot of stories. For instance, a story behind the story for every character in the 7, like why I picked them. So AlisonGieschen.com is my author website, and sailmates.org, O-R-G, is my sailing blog. So I do photos and stories and pictures of every place we visit and put them there. And on my Facebook page, I do daily photos and stories and short videos. Cool. And I've started writing songs and using my own music to
all
put
this
with
creativity
my videos
that you're sharing with the world on this very adventurous journey that you were on. Yeah.
Well,
Alison, thanks so much. This was really great. I really appreciate you being here today. You've shown us that it is not too late to follow your dreams and just to live life fully and, with adventure. I'm inspired. I also feel lazy, even though I'm a higher performer, but I feel like a little stagnant, and I'm going to go push myself today, but this is really beautiful. And I know that those listening at home, if you want to follow Alison and Dan's journey, all the things that she just said, we'll have all those links in the show notes, and sailmates.org, just so you can really look a little bit into this. So Alison, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for being here, listening at home, and for keep sharing all your stories with us. We want to hear back from you. And until next week when we're back here, spread a little kindness and stay well.